Hello, this is Cute Fuzzy Weasel.
And the repair guy.
And we're standing in a ditch. And welcome to another Disjointed Talk. Today we're talking about Pacific Rim.
It's a movie.
About giant robots piloted by giant people. They were very tall in the movie. Very tall people.
There was that one Asian girl. She was like 5'11".
So we're talking about Pacific Rim. Now, before we start, because I like to nitpick a lot, I just want to let you guys know, me and Jeb both really liked the movie. I mean,
Quite
really
a lot.
liked it. It's a very good movie. You all need to go and see it and make sure that it doesn't get beat by grown-ups too.
And don't ever watch a 3D movie, ever. What the fuck is on my shoulder?
Well, we're in nature, Jeb. Nature's on your shoulder. That being said, it's not like you can't pull the movie apart, but the beauty of the thing is you don't have to. It's good enough to where I didn't start pulling the movie apart until I got to my car. I didn't immediately start, nitpicking it until after I left the theater, which is rare for me.
I, on the other hand, found my only nitpick in the middle of the movie. Got it.
Mosquitoes.
It's
Maybe
hot, and this is dumb.
we shouldn't be filming in front of this stagnant pond. So we came back because the mosquitoes were trying to kill us, and where were we? Where were we?
We were in a ditch shouting at a camera in the middle of a crappy thing they call a park.
Well, yes, where were we in the conversation? I can't...
Oh.
We were talking about how the movie...
It's very few flaws that we can nitpick immediately.
Yeah, I mean, yes. It had very few flaws. It didn't have an overabundance of flaws. The only things that I could really get on it were things that if they actually thought about logically, there wouldn't be a movie to start with. So, like building giant robots. I mean, if you thought about it tactically, you wouldn't build giant robots, you just use nuclear-tipped bunker-buster missiles.
I'd have just walled off that area and poured concrete over that fucking portal.
Yeah, they could have just used all that money they were building for that huge, useless wall and just...
Built a single concrete pillar in the center of the ocean directly over the site. Since at the beginning of the movie they stated they had at the beginning 6 to 8 months between Kaiju births.
Yeah, why didn't they just dump a bunch of stuff on it? Like rubble from all the cities that got destroyed. Why not?
Because global warming is a myth.
What? So there was that, and... Again, the wall idea sounds stupid from the get-go, because... I mean, just think about it. The aliens are big, they have multi-limbs, they should just be able to climb over the wall. And anyone building this huge
Let's build a wall slightly higher than the tops of their heads. They can't possibly negotiate that.
Yeah, and then the guy, he tries to say at the beginning of the movie, or... It's not at the beginning of the movie, it's like towards the... It's in the beginning. Yeah, it's at the beginning of the movie. The guy, one of the evil... Oh, spoilers. One of the evil guys... one of the evil... Not evil... What? I drank too much caffeine.
He had like a whole soda.
What? So yes, one of the politicians at the beginning of the movie, he's saying, we can't put more money into the Jaeger program because that's wasting money.
So let's pour trillions of dollars into a wall that encompasses thousands of miles along the western and eastern seaboards so that they can be held back for an hour.
Yes, because that makes more sense.
Well, we are weighing this against giant diesel-powered robots.
Diesel-powered robots. They had diesel engines in their joints, because that's how joints work. They have diesel engines in them.
I'm just more curious about how that one had a jet engine in its elbow.
Yeah. But you need a jet-powered punch, and it's a throwback to that one Japanese thing that I don't know about, that I'm sure I would be getting an earful of if the guy who actually knew anything about the Japanese stuff was here right now. So yeah, the wall doesn't make any sense, and why anyone thought the wall would make much sense, sit up and look.
I'm just thinking, the moment the wall stopped making sense for me is about 5 seconds in after it's introduced as a thought. When the wall foreman for that segment stands up on the piece of equipment in the middle of Alaska. We got 3 men dead on the wall today. Who wants to eat?
Who wants to work on the wall?
Who wants to go to the top of the wall where you'll most likely be murdered by giant gray alien monsters?
Actually, they never do establish how they died. I mean, was it the kaiju that did it, or did they just fall off?
I mean, you saw the way he had to get up and down the thing.
Yeah, they don't have they don't have ropes or anything. They just kind of slide down. I mean,
well, you see, ladders are too expensive.
Yeah, and people are
Human
not
lives
expensive.
are cheaper.
Yeah, no, they're cheaper. It's kind of implied that they're working on it as slaves too, because they're like, who wants to get ration tickets? So they working for food.
I think it's not so much slavery as do it or be murdered by giant monsters. Giant wall makes no sense. Especially since they built it along the entire seaboard, blocking the entirety of the Pacific Ocean.
And yet
instead of building it smaller around.
And yet giant robots don't make any sense, though.
No, because that's just completely fiscally irresponsible.
Yes, I mean, the giant robots that can actually kill the kaiju are, I mean...
stupid.
Yeah, but a giant wall, which within the first 15 minutes of the film gets breached on television, makes sense. And not just breached,
well,
like the thing was pounding on it.
It was breached in Australia, and as you know, everything in Australia wants to kill you.
But it wasn't just breached. It was, I mean, it's not like the thing was pounding on it and then it got through.
It just sort of...
It just walked through it.
Now, it's implied that it took an hour to get through, but I'd say that betting humanity's entire future on an hour in a concrete wall might be a bad idea.
And also, again, the things could probably climb onto it if they really wanted to.
And, you know, what if the wall had worked and that one that could fly got through anyway?
Yeah, and it just started flying around. What are they going to do
then? They
then?
already decommissioned all the fucking Jaegers.
Well, yeah, but...
And it's just...
Well, what are they going to do then? They're going to say, well, we need to
put
spend...
a concrete ceiling.
Let's put a dome. We need to put dome cities so the monsters can just knock at them.
Let's just put a big glass bubble over it. Diamondium.
It's a diamondium wall. They can't breach diamondium unless it was my patented diamondillium. So the wall was really stupid. And then you get to the Jaegers, which, for those of you who can't Google, Jaeger is German for hunter, hence Jägermeister, master hunter. And I did lift that off of Red Letter Media. So what? Whatever.
Kaiju being giant monster.
I think kaiju means,
great beast.
Yeah, it probably means that, maybe. No getting out your phone or anything.
I was gonna Google it on this piece of equipment here.
No. So, the Jaegers, they're giant robotic humanoids that two people have to pilot via mind link in order to use.
Yes, so instead of simplifying the controls to something that makes sense, they create a dual pilot system that requires a shared mental connection.
Link. They have to share memories and everything, to share motor functions just to make it work, because otherwise it doesn't work, because...
Put a fucking PlayStation controller in there.
Actually, yeah. I
mean,
why
seriously.
Not?
Instead of having it actuated to human movement, put a goddamn PlayStation controller. Shit, put a PlayStation controller 5 miles away.
Yeah.
In a nuclear bunker.
Because it is kind of weird, because why do you need to actually physically be there in order to pilot the damn thing? I mean, they established they have the technology to have a stable working connection between the thing, the giant suit, and the
monitoring
base
station elsewhere.
At the bottom of the fucking ocean. Why not make these things remote control?
Or, here's another one. They have those great gesture control computers, right? Build a big gesture control computer, step inside it. Because then you could do wireless gesture control and you wouldn't need a stupid neural link.
If the fucking Kinect can do it.
God damn it, Microsoft beat the future.
So yeah, why does it have to be piloted physically at all?
Apple bought Microsoft and they won't allow Wi-Fi to exist in the future.
And why does it need two pilots? I mean, if it has to be human controlled, why does it need two people to actually move around? You should only need one person.
Setting everything else aside, setting all the plot points that the drift tech hinges on, why is it so hard for one person to control a giant humanoid robot that has no extra functions other than simple gesture control?
It's humanoid.
Exactly.
It shouldn't be a problem.
As simple as moving an arm and the arm moves, not move an arm and your brain bursts.
Yeah. I moved my left foot, my brain exploded. It seems kind of like risky technology.
But again, they give it a passing glance in the plot as we banged this thing out in 14 months after the first Jaeger Kaiju attack.
Actually, that doesn't make sense, though. So after 14 months, they decided, instead of going for a straightforward single-person control for this thing, let's work out future technology where the two minds have to connect and then make the thing move.
Yeah, because, clearly they had that first guy who's sitting there, my brain bursted, I can't speak. So they think, you know what we need?
2 more people to die!
We need 2 people, and we gotta come up with some shit.
We gotta come up with a brain link.
What about that thing that airplanes use? What, you mean a joystick? No, a brain meld. Because again, they try and explain the drift tech by saying that it's using existing military technology, the thing that fighter pilots use to help them control their planes better.
It's the thing that fighter pilots use to help them learn better, and it's not
remotely the same thing.
It's electromagnets inside a helmet. That's what it is.
Except that's not what it is now.
No,
now it's this big thing you push the big red button on.
It's a thing, and at the first part of the movie, the helmets are full of that
yeah,
pee,
and it never comes back.
They never have their helmets full of piss again.
It looked like it was going to be some important part of the tech, because otherwise it's just disgusting. And then it's not there anymore. Why?
It was there because they had to eat it. I don't know.
Maybe it's yellow oxygen. It's heavy yellow liquid oxygen.
Because
your brain needs it. Why the fuck do the pilots need to feel pain when the robots hit?
That seems rather counterintuitive.
That seems fucking stupid. Who thought that was a good idea?
No, you don't understand, Jeb. You have to make sure they feel the pain.
You have to make sure that when the arm is crippled, they're burned permanently.
Suit physically hurts them.
Yes.
You have to do that, though, Jeb, because if they don't feel pain, they won't become so in tune with the suit, and they won't understand its every movement, and then they won't die as easy.
So what you're saying is, instead of simplifying the controls for this thing, they make it so goddamn complicated, you have to be injured to be good at it.
Yes. It's like how actual pilots learn today. When they're in the flight simulator, if they get shot down,
they die.
Yeah. The Chinese one was the only one I could actually say might need someone else because it had a third arm. Although, if it had more than one pilot, why didn't it have 4 arms? That seems like it would have been...
Well, because they can only control one side.
Which is why they need to mind meld, so...
I wish it had a middle arm, because that would have been fucking hilarious to say, hey, he was controlling that one.
Standing there, kind of twisted off to the side, doing this. It's like, turn your hands into saw blades. Which, oddly enough, blades seem to be the best weapon to use against them.
They were both the most and least effective. Because the Chinese little buzzsaw thing
didn't do a whole lot, even when it cut the damn
him.
thing's neck.
It scratched it, but then it got his head ripped off.
Yeah, that's another thing. Why do the Jaegers have heads that the pilots are in? That seems like, I mean, if I'm a giant monster...
I'll give them that they at least explained it with Gypsy Danger. Its main power plant was dead center in the chest.
Okay.
I'll give them Gypsy.
Yeah, no, I'm still not going to. I'm still not going to because they could have positioned it, like, in here.
Also, why the fuck was that little nuclear kill switch with the plutonium rods in the neck of Gypsy, even though the power plant was way down here?
I think, because so he could get to it.
Want something as simple as a self-destruct button.
So he could
had
get
to
to
fall
it.
into the gaping maw of electrical conductivity.
So he could get to it, and have it be suspenseful. That's why it was there. I mean, they couldn't put it anywhere near the actual core because then he might have to work at it and then he might fail. But if it's in the head...
a note for any aspiring military engineers, do not design weapons with plot points in mind.
Yes.
That's dumb.
Design them with utility. If I was designing a giant killer Jaeger robot, it would look more like Sully. You know, from Monsters?
Yes.
A heavily armored ball with many jointed attachments that all had different kinds of spikes on them. And the thing would just walk up and stab at the giant thing. Just stab at him. Stab at him and shoot him with lasers and plasma from, like, the body.
Sully was the big blue gorilla cat.
Who's the green one?
That's Mike Wazowski.
It would look like the green one. The green one would grab onto them like a tick, and it would just stick into them and just shoot
it. It would have its arms ripped off.
No, because there's spikes. It would just run at it really fast, and the thing, it would be wrapped around it.
So you design a bipedal sea urchin.
Yes! It'd stick on them, and they couldn't pull them out because they would hook in, and then they'd just start shooting at them. That's how it would be. And it would be unmanned.
That sounds just as disposable as the Jaegers.
Yes, but they would be unmanned. And you could build tons of them because you don't need them to be that complicated. Just attach a rocket to a big spiky ball with guns on it.
I'm just gonna go with pour concrete on the goddamn hole. That sounds a lot cheaper.
Well, okay, the cheapest option would be like to have orbiting satellites with missiles on them.
That's the cheapest option. Definitely raining missiles down on a hole instead of covering it up.
Well, it's...
What are you, the U.S. government?
Yes. Well, okay, if you're not going to cover up the hole, then have satellites armed with nuclear-tipped bunker busters, floating in space, and just rain down hell on the Kaijus. Just fire, just lob missiles at them.
If they had this awesome plasma technology...
Why not build a big plasma cannon?
Why did they use an enormous plasma cannon to burrow a hole down to the center of the Earth, directly under it, so that whenever they pass through, they fall?
Well, because the thing... If you remember in the movie, it's like a flat floating thing that they come out
but burrow it big enough around it, like a half mile around the hole, so they just...
Because they can swim. It's they can swim.
You're not making this easy for me.
I don't know, why not just put a big weight over it, or cover it in concrete? I guess the thing would probably destroy the concrete over it, maybe.
How?
I don't know, science.
What are they gonna do? Come up through the umbilical... What do they call it, the umbilical cord? Anyway, come up through the umbilical cord and...
Maybe.
Because it was... No, they couldn't. It was never stable long enough.
That's true.
Until the Category 5 came through.
So, I mean, they would get there, they'd be squished up against the concrete, and they'd just die.
Why the fuck didn't they think of this?
Why didn't they cover the thing with concrete? Or steel, or concrete and steel.
Maybe there's something we're missing. Maybe
Maybe
they could have
it
moved
vibrated.
it. Well, maybe they could have moved the Fisher somewhere else.
Yeah, maybe there was no guarantee that it would always be there all the time. Maybe.
However, from what I gather, they have no way of knowing this.
No, they didn't.
So they immediately jump to the most far left, out of fucking nowhere conclusion possible.
Drop something in and drop a bomb in it.
Well, yeah, they tried that at first and it didn't work.
Yeah,
because
okay,
it needed a genetic barcode. Because it's a smart hole.
And they only find out that it needs a genetic barcode during that battle. But then they have kaiju samples. Why not just smother a big nuclear missile with a bunch of kaiju guts and drop it in?
Because they didn't want to let the scientists do what the scientists thought was best, but turned out to be the best thing anyway. If they'd done that, they would have saved thousands of lives and millions of billions of dollars.
What?
You know, Charlie from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia wanted to mind meld with the
That's
brain.
where I saw him before!
Yeah, Charlie from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia wanted to mind meld with the alien robo.
With the alien brain, and they didn't
Well,
want
the second brain, because apparently dinosaurs had two brains.
I don't remember that about dinosaur biology. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not really up on the biology of animals that have been
They
dead
did-
for a long time. But
They didn't cover that in school, but I'm going to give them a pass.
I'll give him a pass because I don't want to look it up right now.
But straight back to it. Instead of letting the experimental physicist, maybe, is that what he is?
Well, he was a biologist. He was a
Okay.
biologist.
Instead of letting the xenobiologists do what xenobiologists do, and give him, 15 minutes with the drift tech,
Well, they could have.
cobbles one together out of shit he found in a garage.
Yeah, he builds his own thing that looks like he took one of those underwater mines and shoved a laptop on it.
Yeah, it's like an underwater mine, a laptop, a set of billows.
A bottle of goo. Wait, there is a billow in it.
Yeah.
There's an actual billow in the thing.
Because apparently it's needs air.
Well, yeah, it needs air because that's part of the thing. They put it on your head and it just starts blowing at you. And it blows the magic
It
on
blows the neurons.
It blows the neurons at you and then transfers your mind over to the alien mind. Yes!
This makes less sense the more we talk about it.
But it's still a better love story than Twilight.
Yes, Charlie's love story.
With the kaiju,
With the kaiju
guts
guts
is still
is
a
better
better
than
story than Twilight. I'm Lamb's
Which
person.
leads me directly to probably my favorite character in the entire movie. Ron Perlman's character.
Ah, yeah, the guy.
He was so over the top and so out there, it was amazing. I loved him.
It doesn't work in the movie, but it
Han-
works in the movie.
Hannibal something.
Hannibal thingy. Hannibal thingy. Hannibal. No, wait, it was named after a Chinese restaurant. Hannibal Sasquatch?
No, it wasn't Hannibal Szechuan. It was Hannibal and his favorite something
Hannibal
restaurant.
Mugu Gai Pan?
It was the name of a joint. It was the name of a place.
Hannibal.
Hannibal Big Monkey Guy.
Hannibal Sushi. Hannibal Hibachi?
Hannibal Teriyaki Fish.
Hannibal China Inn.
That's disgusting.
Hannibal.
He said he liked it.
He likes
And
it.
you're just going Asian because it was in Hong Kong. I don't.
He
think
said
it was
his
Asian.
favorite Asian restaurant in
I
time.
don't think it was Asian. I think it was like Italian or something.
It wasn't Hannibal Italian. I don't. No, we gotta get Hannibal's Sigmund Freud.
I want to Google it.
Don't Google it.
Gonna Google it.
No. No.
Fine, I'll Yahoo search it.
No. No using the computers.
I'll Steam search it. I've got Steam right here.
No, that's still a computer.
That's a television.
It's still a computer.
You're a computer.
So?
Yeah, it was Hannibal, like M something.
Hannibal Midgie. Hannibal Muchacho.
Hannibal Moron.
Hannibal Mifuku.
Hannibal, I swear to God, I'm going to Google it unless you come up with this quickly.
Hannibal Mitsubishi. No, here. This is less intrusive. I'll Google it. Baby. Text messages. Who sends me text messages? Move it. New face.
Hannibal Chow.
I knew it was Asian.
That's not Asian.
Shut up.
It's Hannibal Chowawa.
Hannibal Chimango?
Hannibal Dark.
There's a Pacific Rim wiki?
Apparently.
How do you... whatever.
Ah!
What?
Here we go. Carno Alpha. The Russian one.
The one that comes closest to actually being realistic.
Yeah, it has no head. Is apparently 85 meters tall.
It's very heavy and it punches things.
2,400 tons, apparently. It's behind the camera.
That's reasonable. I mean, I'd expect it to weigh more, but okay. So anyway...
It was the slowest and heaviest, and it was the only one that didn't have an obvious head.
Well, that's how I would design it. Probably with no head.
Although it does look a little bit like a Big Daddy, doesn't it?
Kinda. Actually, it sort of looks like Pyramid Head. If it was
Big Daddy and Pyramid Head had ugly, disgusting sex.
had a robot baby,
Yeah.
then they would probably look like this.
And then you'd have to put it under a magnification ray. It wouldn't be 85 meters tall. Are you crazy?
No. Wait, where would it be born? Silent Hill or Rapture?
Colombia. That's a nice middle ground.
We're off topic.
We're way off topic. Disjointed talks.
Yay! So, shit, what were we talking about?
I don't know, but this needs to go away or she's just going to keep getting distracted.
Oh, yeah. We'll put it on Dead Island. So...
Riptide.
Yeah.
I kind of looks like a face.
What?
Shit. Okay. Hannibal Chow's character. Back to what we originally started talking about.
Yes, Hannibal Chow. We like that guy. He was funny.
Big American businessman that's purely in it for the money.
Who kind of looks like Ron Perlman's character from Men in Black 3. But with the glasses.
Hadn't seen Men in Black 3.
Well, he looks like that.
He looks like...
Wait, was that Ron Perlman? Shit, we gotta look it up again.
You do it on yours.
I don't want to look it up. He kind of looks like the guy from Men in Black 3. The guy with the glasses. The big guy with the goggles. The guy with finger face.
Cthulhu?
No, he had finger eyes. He had like they were like this on his he was weird head.
I'm going right back to Cthulhu.
He didn't have tentacle head. He didn't have tentacle for a mouth. He had fingers for eyes. He was finger eyes guy.
How high were you?
Pretty high.
Okay. Anyway, Hannibal Chow is the organ dealer. He's the man that cleans up the kaiju remains.
He has a team of people go out to the corpses and strip them down.
He has the world's foremost collection of kaiju body parts.
Bones, skin.
And as a direct result, becomes integral to the plot for about 20 minutes.
Because he has a kaiju brain. Or several.
He can get
bits
the
of brain.
freshest samples of kaiju brain.
Yes. And the creepy guy from
It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
that guy needs to mind meld with kaiju brain so he can learn more about the Independence Day aliens that created the...
Well, they 3D printed them.
They 3D printed them with organs and guts and stuff and sent them out.
Because apparently no one at any point prior in the 13 years had decided to test the genetics of these giant creatures.
Well, no one in the 13 years previous had decided to maybe use this technology they have to mind drift with people to probe a mind.
It all started when he found out that they had the same genetic code. Why the hell wasn't that known earlier?
You think genetic testing on the extra-dimensional aliens would have been something...
That would have been an early priority for me.
Yeah. Also creating satellites with bunker busters attached to them to rain down on these things.
It's just as dumb as giant robots.
No, it's not, because that's cheaper than giant robots, and it doesn't kill
Except when you have to start ferrying the bunker busters into space.
It's not that hard. We do all kinds of... It's just satellites. You just fire up satellites. Satellites with missiles on them. Weaponizing space is not hard.
Or, and I'm just spitballing here,
I already thought about a maglev, but that would require obscene amounts of energy, and we just... Okay, that would require a huge solar array, and probably a nuclear reactor. And you don't want that actually burning up in the atmosphere, because then you could spread nuclear contamination everywhere. But if it's missiles on a satellite, you could just shoot all the missiles off, and they would probably burn up in the atmosphere at the right trajectory. So I already thought about that idea, but ultimately the missile idea I think is probably a little better. Or you could
send
use
a super tanker full of concrete out there. I'm sure there's one of those lying around. Send a super tanker full of fresh water or some shit, and a super tanker full of concrete mix, crack them both open, and let gravity take over.
Yes, you could do that, and then there wouldn't be a movie.
Yeah, but there also wouldn't have been billions of people killed by giant gray, blue, bleeding goo aliens.
But without billions of people getting killed, there's no movie.
And without billions of people getting killed, that guy from Sons of Anarchy wouldn't have lost his brother.
Yeah. Wait, he's from Sons of Anarchy?
Yeah, Charlie, I believe his name is Charlie Day, is one of the stars of the Sons of Anarchy. He actually plays Ron Perlman's stepson.
He lost his brother because he was stupid anyway.
He lost his brother because they never watched Zombieland.
Yeah, they kill the alien... Spoilers. They kill the alien in the first part of the movie, and then he doesn't bother to double tap. He doesn't bother to go, wait a minute. Like he said later in the movie, I know this thing is dead, but let's just make sure.
Although, honestly, that was actually pretty subtle.
That was pretty funny, too.
It was really subtle, though, the way that they approached it, because looking back, you know when he learned that, you know why he's doing it. But it's not just out there. He doesn't go, I learned this because of my brother.
Yeah, he doesn't like sigh his head and go, wait, this seems familiar. Turn around, I want some revenge.
I don't want to lose you, tiny lady.
Although, to be fair, on the other side of it, his brother had to die for him to learn that very obvious lesson.
His brother had to die and we're reminded constantly throughout the movie.
Connected.
We were connected. I felt his fear. I felt his pain.
Felt him getting torn out of the thing, being crushed by the giant kaiju thing. I felt that. And it took feeling that for me to realize to always make sure one of these things is dead.
And straight on to another stupid mistake of his. The blade.
Why he didn't use that from the start?
Why the fuck didn't... Okay, let's pretend they didn't have it on the original Gypsy, okay?
Fair enough. It's a huge blade, and it looked kind of complicated how it...
Yeah, let's pretend they didn't have it on the one that he piloted first.
Okay.
So, later on, 5 years down the line, when he's back piloting Gypsy in his first real fight, after all the other ones have been disabled so that he strictly gets to do a solo run with his new girl, who was not exactly a love interest, which I'm grateful for.
Why, just a side note, why they don't have a simulator set up where they do the mind drift thing? Instead of in the thing with the plasma weapon on and everything, just in case.
Well, no, she'd actually say that she'd done her simulations.
She'd done her simulations,
but they never drifted in sim.
They should have drifted in sim instead of doing it when they're on the thing that's armed. That would be like taking...
Instead of needing a tense scene with Rob Schneider, Jackman,
guy, the thing guy.
That guy that looked like every other actor in Hollywood.
All melded together into one person.
It's like Rob Schneider, Jackman, Gyllenhaal.
Guy.
Anyway, instead of having a tense scene where they have to forcibly shut down because the drift is so strong that the emergency programs aren't working.
And that the woman now has access to a plasma cannon built into the hand, and now she's charging it up, and she's about to shoot
And her
the controller.
childhood memories perfectly fit the single gesture needed to activate the plasma cannon.
Instead of testing this out in a simulator first, they go,
well, fuck it, it'll be fine.
And look, they have to do it that way, because if they did it the smart way, they wouldn't be able to become in tune with the giant robots, and they wouldn't be as effective as fighters. Because we need the risk of them killing everything and destroying everything.
I just killed a horde of zombies on this without ever swinging my arm.
Without feeling any pain whatsoever. But that's a simulation. When you're in real combat, you need to be able to feel your arm getting torn off.
Ah, my arm!
It's like, seriously, in the beginning of the movie, the arm of Gypsy gets torn
That
off.
arm gets torn off a lot.
Yeah, it is kind of a weak point structurally. But anyway, it gets torn off, and the suit starts to cook him and shock him in his... Why? Why does it do that?
Neurofeedback.
You're getting neurofeedback. Why do you get neurofeedback? You don't need
Because logic does not dictate what happens in this movie.
You don't need neurofeedback if you're in a giant robot suit.
Allow me to say right now, I love the movie. It's fun. It is a great monster movie.
The movie is amazing. Please watch it. Please don't give any money to grown-ups too.
But it's still dumb.
It's not dumb. The movie isn't dumb.
It's
the concepts behind it are kind of dumb, but if they weren't there wouldn't be a movie.
It is very much inspired by Japanese anime. I will give it that it's inspired by the 90s cartoons of the giant robots fighting monsters.
Or 80s or something.
It was 90s when we had them, 80s when they first came out.
Well, if the guy who knew anything about that stuff was here...
Nasu man. I hope you're watching this and I hope you're disappointed.
But regardless, if they didn't have that, if they didn't have the concepts in there that are stupid, there wouldn't be a movie. Because they would have covered the damn thing with cement and posted towers
on with their lives.
With missiles and stuff all over them, and shot anything that came out all the time. Or at the very least, just having all the stupid ideas in there, had like 4 or 5 Jaegers around the hole at all times.
See, now this is leading me to my first thought, do that as a sequel. But then I'm looking at it, and they just announced today, in fact, that Pacific Rim had been greenlighted for a sequel.
What are they going to... They just
exactly. What are they? Are we going to get the 5 years in between, where we find out about
that would be pretty cool. I mean that'd be a prequel I'd watch.
Honestly,
with bigger things and stuff.
Okay. On the PlayStation 2, there was a monster fighting game where you got to pick either a monster or a giant robot or whatever the fuck you wanted to go out and fight other giant monsters in a city that was to scale. I want that game with this property.
I think they are making a game.
It was an Xbox Live arcade title. I want a full game based on those principles.
That would be cool, yeah. Next-gen graphics and everything.
Oh, dude, you put that on the PS4?
You're already getting a PS4, though, aren't you?
Seriously considering it.
Oh, get a PS4.
No, I mean, like, I'm seriously considering only buying a PS4. Now, Xbox has almost surely lost all of my business unless there's a major shift in their PR, but that's neither here nor there. We've had that discussion already.
Yes, we already did. And you can look at it in the link below.
No, put the link on my face. I want me all over my face.
Okay. Done. subject of possible sequels / prequels, I gave it a little thought, and I know how I would change this movie. Because there was something about the ending I didn't like. Actually, there was something about the middle I didn't like. That toward the middle end, where they're fighting outside of Hong Kong, there's something about that I didn't like. Number one, I didn't like the EMP thing.
How it was just a one-off used strictly to give Gypsy a solo fight?
There's two reasons I didn't like it. Number one, the excuse they give for Gypsy not being affected is that she's analog. Well, bullshit. How is she... Look, EMPs affect... they affect circuits.
Now, why not, and I'm just bullshitting here, claim that the titanium shell forms a rudimentary Faraday cage around Gypsy's internal mechanisms, which would have made much more sense.
I'd do this. Why? Well, okay, first off, an EMP would have affected her, Gypsy too, because unless you're going to say that the mind meld technology is being run via vacuum tubes in the back...
Well, it was in the bullshit one.
No, it wasn't. And unless it is vacuum tubes, actually, I think vacuum tubes are kind of susceptible to an EMP too. But the thing is, an EMP would have knocked her offline too. But number two, they only ever use it once, because as soon as Gypsy gets out there, it tears the thing off, and you never see it again. It is.
Well, you see it fly off into the ocean.
Yeah, but it is literally an excuse just to give her a solar fight. What about this? What if one of the monsters has some kind of directed, like, energy shocking hands, and it just grabbed onto them and went, and it just turned off? So okay, that's why I didn't like the EMP, because it was only there for an excuse. What if the thing had a directed shock attack, and then it knocked the other one offline? It knocks them offline. There, done. And then it's perfectly reasonable that Gypsy would be okay because she wasn't getting shocked, and then she comes out, kills the thing, or disables its ability to do the shock thing, and then we don't have to worry about it.
I feel like that scene was kind of shoehorned in when they said, okay, we need a moment to bring respect from the young Australian kid.
Yes, but they could have done it with a directed shock attack.
Yeah, they could have, but I mean, I feel like they're sitting there and they're, okay, we need to make this little shithead appreciative of the hero before we end this movie. How can we do that? What if what they call that one?
Fast lightning legs. I don't remember.
What if the fastest Jaeger ever built, a Mark 4, 5, 7, whatever?
It was a Mark 5, the first and only.
What if the first and only Mark 5 was disabled shortly after the other two last existing Jaegers were brutally murdered? What if Gypsy saved the day?
That's what happens.
Exactly. Why did it have to be that? Why did we need that stupid scene of the father and the son getting up top with the flare guns?
Oh, that was funny.
That was funny, but...
It was funny. I'm willing to forgive that. What I'm saying, though, is the movie should have ended at Hong Kong. It should have ended at Hong Kong, and the other two Jaegers should have survived. Or they should have lived longer than they did, and here's why. As much as I liked the fight scene, it should have gone on longer, because I feel like those two Jaegers were completely wasted. We never...
It would have been so cool to see them in action.
Yeah, like the Chinese one jumping off of a building with the buzzsaw. If the buzzsaw blades did anything, jumping on and doing that, and then the big Russian one, like just crashing through a building and grabbing one and then shoving it on the ground and stomping on it. But instead, they're both destroyed out in the ocean, and we never see them again. We only see them in action one time. It just seems like such a waste of two really cool mechs that we don't really get a sense of how they fight. We don't really get a sense of what their pilots are like, because they all get killed immediately.
Come to think of it, in the first 15 minutes after we're introduced to the last remaining Jaegers, there are 4 of them, right?
Yeah.
2 of them are destroyed in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
The other 2 are the ones we'd already seen in action.
Yeah. So, like...
And that was so much wasted potential there.
It was. They should have been really damaged. And then the fight would have been a bit of a struggle. Maybe you lose one.
I suppose you can bullshit it in if they do a sequel post this one, where, say, the Masters have opened up a second fissure somewhere else.
Well, if they're doing something
and
post this one...
they recovered the remains of the Chinese and the Russian one.
No, they can't do that because... They can't do that for the Chinese one anyway because it was piloted by triplets and whatever.
Oh.
But if they built new ones... But here's what I'm saying. If they had survived that attack and then you had, like an end scene where they're walking out of the city and it's played to guitar music or something, like rock and roll.
This really emo guitar riff as it's hanging out.
Not emo. I mean like rock, like a good, like a Few Good Men, or like the right stuff shot where they're walking.
For whom the bell tolls.
Like they're walking in like single file, like in a line.
Actually, that's really appropriate. You see that time marches on as they all just march out of the ruined city.
Yeah, and they do that, and it's all for them, and then it's like that leads directly into the sequel where then they go and attack the monsters at the rift. Because then...
You know what? We've been battered long enough. It's time to take this fight to them.
And it ends on a cliffhanger. It ends kind of like Halo 2 ended
it
on
ends
a cliffhanger.
where you have them breach the fissure, falling in, opening up the potential for a final third movie in which they've really taken the fight to them. They destroy whatever's going on in that secondary water dimension.
Yeah, they fight the water robo-aliens, and then that would be that. We've just come up with a trilogy.
Yeah, we made a trilogy when Guillermo del Toro foobarred in the first movie.
He didn't foobar, but
he foobarred the trilogy potential for me.
He foobarred the trilogy potential. He didn't foobar the movie.
No, the movie, again, fantastic.
Again, the fantastic movie, this is just how I would have done it. Just how I would have done it. And these are just like minor grievances. If you don't think about them, they're really not important.
For reference, I went to this movie with almost no knowledge of what it was. I only knew that Nasu Man had been shouting in my ear giant robots and Cthulhu.
I never actually saw anything that looked like Cthulhu.
Yeah, that was weird. He mentioned Cthulhu monster aliens, and there never was one. It was just like giant...
They do rise up out of the sea, but they're not really Cthulhu.
Giant knife-head sharks.
Now, fighting Cthulhu would be way different, because it would drive one of the pilots mad. That would be cool. Like if one of the it has some kind of psionic attack, and it turns one of the Jaegers against the others.
They get a hold of drift tech, right?
Yeah.
And then they learn to use it across distances, and they drift with the pilot, overtake
the pilot, and then
because they've overtaken the pilot, the other pilots are overtaken as well because they've drifted. And clearly, a three-way drift is possible, a la Chinese.
The thing, yeah.
And then that opens up later potential for them to, to have those two pilots. They're just really focusing on their bond so that the other guy can't get in.
Yeah. Oh, or maybe like in addition to that, like if they were taken over by a kaiju, they'd start like growling and snarling and throwing up blood and stuff, and it'd be like the Jaeger was piloted by two crazy zombie people.
And this is how you make lemonade out of spoiled milk, I think.
Oh, okay, I get it. It took me a bit to get it.
He's exhausted. He's been working for like 5 weeks straight.
I've been working for 2 weeks straight and getting virtually nowhere, but I'm getting there.
Getting virtually nowhere.
But I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I just need a few more snails. By the way, have you seen Turbo?
We're not talking Turbo. Okay?
You may want to do that again. I don't think your knife is actually in shot.
I know it's not. We're not talking Turbo, okay? I'm done with racing movies. I'm done with shit that shouldn't be talking and racing. Fucking talking and racing.
But it's talking snails and racing.
I get it. They're gonna make an escargot joke. I guarantee you, somewhere in that fucking movie, it says Turbo puts the go in escargot.
But it's talking.
I guarantee it.
But it's snails, and they're going fast, and snails don't normally move fast. So they
do when you throw them out the goddamn window.
But they have big eyes, and they talk, and he has dreams.
And he's voiced by Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds, really?
Yeah, apparently.
That's Ryan Reynolds.
Also, they're making one about planes too.
Well, the plane that was inevitable because they made cars.
What's next? Trains?
Yeah, probably. And after that, there's go-karts. Boats.
Bug's Life Part 2. It's just about the little VW Beetles.
Okay. I don't know. Oh, and R.I.P.D. is tanking. I'm not surprised.
I don't expect anything from that movie.
Yeah, no. I mean, I've heard it's just plain boring. That's worse than being a bad movie, is being a boring movie. I mean, Grown Ups 2 wasn't boring, but Grown Ups 2 was like...
Grown Ups 2
was like a urinary tract
infection. It is
infection.
literally the only movie I've ever walked out of.
It's the only movie I've ever walked out of. We walked out of it because when we saw... Okay, not when we saw Pacific Rim. When we went to go see the Johnny Depp movie.
Lone Ranger.
Yeah, Tonto the movie. When we went to go to see Tonto the movie, I originally wanted to go see like a really bad movie because we enjoy watching really bad movies and tearing them
and then doing
apart,
this
right?
because this is fun.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah.
For me, he has to edit it.
So we went over there, and I was going to say, well, let's see R.I.P.D. because it's not going to be as bad as Grown Ups 2, and I've heard it's pretty terrible, or it's going to be pretty terrible. So let's watch it, and then we can tear it apart later. We get there, and R.I.P.D. isn't playing until the next week, or, this week. So I'm like, well, what else can we see? And we sit there, and we talk for a while, and it's like, well, the only other option, if we're going to see a bad movie, is Grown Ups 2. So I took a chance. We all got our tickets. We went into the theater. We missed the first
We missed all the previews and maybe the first 3 seconds of the movie.
Yeah, we get in right as Adam Sandler is waking up. It's like he's waking up, and then there's a deer. And I'm not really familiar with the trailer, so I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
He sees the deer, he turns around, he makes a really racist joke to his mother.
Is that racist?
The deer's eating nuts, I guess. I think it's funny because he says Mexican. I don't know. So he says
maybe it's. I really don't get that.
I don't get it either. It's not funny. So he says it, and then he wakes up his wife, and immediately her reaction is go, oh, and then
of course the deer naturally responds by rearing up and urinating.
And pees all over Adam Sandler. And the moment that happened...
And his child.
The moment that happened, and the audience behind me started laughing, like it was the funniest shit they'd ever seen, I turned to Jeb and I go, you know what? We're done. We're done. I said we're done. I get up and it's like, no, let's go get another. Let's go see Lone Ranger.
Let's go get our money back.
Let's go. Yeah, we did. Well, okay, we didn't get our money.
We just gave our money to a better movie.
We exchanged tickets, but
we gave our money to a horror, but at least it's a horror we know what to expect.
Essentially, we got our money back, but it is the only movie I've ever walked out of, and then went to go see.
You went back to it.
I had to know.
What's it like living with Stockholm Syndrome?
It's not Stockholm Syndrome.
What is it, stupid curiosity?
No, it's
your Everest, I get it.
Yes, it is Everest.
So what's it like fording your Everest this early in life?
What's it like being at the top of the shit mountain?
It's a long way back down shit mountain.
Grown Ups 2 is like it's like a really I can't even describe it. It's a bad movie.
He texted me apparently shortly after he'd seen it, which has been 4 or 5 days ago now. he has yet to really talk about it.
I don't want to.
I feel like he's been violated by that movie.
Kind of.
You've been emotionally violated by that Adam Sandler film.
It's bad. It's bad.
It's so bad he won't talk about it.
I don't want to talk about it.
Exactly. You see this?
Red Letter Media summed up my feelings perfectly.
Adam Sandler's hilarious.
I'm a flyover cow. Moo.
By the way, if the guys from Red Letter Media are watching this, send him a private message. He could really use some good fans.
They're not gonna see this.
You don't know that.
I know that.
Mike watches all kinds of shit on the internet. And I'm pretty sure Rich doesn't have shit else to do.
They do movies. They have lives. They don't do this.
We act like we have lives too.
Yes.
Dude, we literally spent an hour walking down to the park to shout at the camera from a ditch for 3 minutes and give up.
Okay. We didn't give up. We started getting bit by fleas,
We
flying
quit.
rodents, and then we gave up.
We were attacked by bats? Where the fuck was I?
we were.
You said flying rodents.
It was.
He was
Flying-
buzzed by 2 mosquitoes and I tried to wipe something on his shirt.
You're not making this.
How do you need to cut that?
I don't. What the fuck is going on in the background?
Oh, god damn it. Somebody God damn it. You dick! You got me killed!
So, he's got Dead Island on in the background with the
How do I
control
set this
guy.
to not on?
You just hit the menu.
No! Stop it!
Is there no pause?
Not when somebody joins the damn game. Hold on.
I didn't. What do you mean someone joined your game?
It's...
Is it drop in, drop out multiplayer?
Yeah, and you apparently can't edit it in-game. God damn it! Stop!
Just exit.
I don't want it because it's gonna reset my proc, damn it.
In summary, go see Pacific Rim. It's a really great movie.
It is it is a fun movie. I can't say anything
Don't
bad about it.
Don't be discouraged by what we've brought up. Ultimately, it is just a bunch of really minor.
We set out for this just to nitpick.
Yeah, that's entirely what this whole thing was about. Just nitpicking.
But
And-
I can't speak highly enough of this movie. I
Yeah.
went in, and it's the only movie. It's the only movie in a long time I sat up and smiled during.
It's the only.
Just loving what was going on screen.
I don't think I've had this much fun during a movie since Avengers. Like,
You know,
like literally,
that's about the last time.
it wasn't.
Bringing the party to you guys.
It's been since. It hasn't been since Avengers where
It was
I've
a
joined.
fun summer movie.
Where I've joined in with the crowd.
And
you know,
clapping at the end.
well, not clapping at the end, but when people were going, yeah, get him, and it was like, yeah, and punch that fucking monster in the face with your rocket fist.
Which essentially means that the movie was good enough we became emotionally invested in the action.
Which hasn't happened to me in a long fucking time, because
As jaded as he is, he enjoyed it.
previously to this movie, I saw The Lone Ranger, Star Trek Into Darkness. What did we watch? The first time we went in, it was another movie that I felt really disappointed about.
Oh, Green Lantern.
No. God, that was years. I don't even. Jesus, why'd you make me think of that movie? No, the other one, the one that we saw this summer. Remember, we brought you the first time you guys went to Bricks.
Shit, it was a decent movie. Not much to be said about it. World War Z.
World War Z, which World War Z was okay.
Meh.
It was good. I enjoyed it. It wasn't as good as this movie, but I enjoyed it.
It was a decent film. Yeah.
Previous to this, aside from World War Z, it was Star Trek Into Darkness, The Lone Ranger.
The high point of The Lone Ranger was he were gonna violate me with a duck foot.
Yeah, that was the high point. God, the Lone Ranger. We could have a whole other disjointed talk on the Lone Ranger.
Not really. It was, for me, it was just boring. It was... There were a couple of those big, oh, that's cool moments. And I got a couple chuckles from Tonto.
Tonto, it should have just been called Tonto the movie, because when Tonto wasn't on the screen, that movie dragged on.
Okay, and I'm just going to say this because I've been watching Supernatural recently, and that's the only actor that I know that could have replaced him. Armie Hammer didn't need to be in this. You could have cast any other tall brunette guy, say Jared Padalecki from Supernatural. You could have cast any tall brunette guy. You would have never noticed a difference. There was no need to have been concerned about the casting for this film. When you get Johnny Depp on camera, Johnny Depp is who you're paying attention to, unless he's Legolas. Orlando Bloom was in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Johnny Depp was Legolas?
No, Orlando Bloom was.
Oh, Orlando Bloom. Right.
Dude, how tired are you?
I'm very tired. I haven't slept very well. Anyway, you guys, it was, like I said, great movie. You should go see it. Next Disjointed Talk will be on...
Quick word of warning, and I just want to get this out there to anybody who may not be subscribed. According to Angry Joe's channel, there is absolutely no reason to see this in 3D, and I'm inclined to agree with him.
Yeah, there really isn't.
Just judging by what I've seen, the movie really liked to use imagery of water and fluid dynamics, particle physics, things like that, bouncing around and really drawing the eye at what was going on. But in 3D, I feel like they get cloudy and muddled.
You saw it in 3D?
No. But I get the feeling it'd get cloudy and muddled.
I just wouldn't do 3D because I think 3D is
3D is overpriced and stupid, but if you do like 3D films, and I know people that do, save your money on this one. See it in 2D. But see it.
Yes, see it regardless.